If you want a camera to get you the best possible video results, but it's still in an easy to use and user-friendly package, there is a clear winner that stands out from the rest. And it's actually a camera that's already been out for 4 years and will still be one of the best options for another 4 years or beyond. So whether you're a video creator or a business owner or just trying to scale your personal brand, this is the camera that is the right fit for you. Let's talk about it.
You gotta just press record.
So this camera, of course, is the Sony FX3. It was released back in February of 2021, so it's already 4 years old, which just blows my mind. And the question is, why should you spend nearly $4,000 on this camera body instead of spending only maybe $1,000 to $2,000 on a more budget option? Well, for $4,000, you are really getting so much out of this camera. Let's first talk about the image quality. And really, the image quality in the FX3 is second to none. I'm just gonna loop some footage I shot with the FX3 in the background as I talk about my experience of shooting with the FX3. Honestly, anytime this camera's in my hand, I just have full confidence that I'll be able to get the best possible video results. And I have used way more expensive cameras. I've used things like the Sony FX6, which is a $6,000 camera, even the Sony Burano, which is a $25,000 camera, and then a bunch of different camera brands, right? Like Blackmagic, Red, and Canon. And while all of those cameras do create amazing results, they're just not nearly as easy to use as the FX3 to get that kind of image quality. Now, the FX3 is a part of Sony's cinema line of cameras, but it feels way more in line with what their standard mirrorless cameras are like when you use it. So it might feel like a pretty high barrier of entry. Like, I don't know how to use a cinema camera. I'm not really familiar with all these things. Like, what am I even doing? It doesn't really feel like that though when you use the FX3. If you've used something as simple as the Sony ZV-1F, that's Sony's most affordable camera they make right now. It's about a $400 or $500 camera. The button layout and the menu system and the user interface is basically the exact same as the Sony FX3. So they've made it very user-friendly for beginners and pros alike, but it still is a cinema camera. Fun fact, the feature-length film The Creator was shot primarily on the FX3. They did most of the principal photography with that camera. So you could go watch that film and just see how great that film looks and what kind of image quality the Sony FX3 can produce. One of the greatest things about the FX3 is its world-class low light performance. So when you think low light, this doesn't mean you have to be shooting outside in the dark at nighttime or anything like that. This is great actually first and foremost for creators and business owners and entrepreneurs who want to take their camera into a variety of environments and know that they're always going to walk away with great images regardless of lighting conditions. So think of situations like conferences or event stages or classrooms, right? So where you don't have the ability to bring in a lot of external lighting and control the lighting, but you want to get really good image results and you need to maybe sometimes crank your ISO to compensate for the lack of high quality lighting. Using the FX3 is an awesome way to ensure your images are always going to look great even when you have to crank the ISO up. And then of course this is great for video professionals. On the other hand, maybe you have more experience with lighting scenes and being more intentional about your lighting decisions, right? Well, this camera is going to give you so much flexibility to try different things because it is so sensitive to light. Part of this is because it has what's called a dual base ISO. So you can shoot at ISO 800, which is its low base, and 12,800, which is its high base setting, which basically means you're going to get really great image performance and dynamic range, even at those really high ISO values. If that does not mean a lot to you, that's okay. All it really means is that when you're in poor lit conditions, you still are able to get great results. Now, one of my favorite features by far with the FX3 is the audio top handle that comes with the FX3. So unlike other Sony cameras like the a7S III or the FX30, there's an additional cost of around $400 to $500 to add a similar accessory like this audio top handle if you want to add that to your kit. But with the FX3, this top handle comes shipped with the camera for $3,800, and even if it's on sale, it still comes shipped with the camera. And you're gonna get those 2 XLR inputs, which is so great to be running a 2-person podcast or creating just high quality talking head videos in some sort of studio situation. This audio top handle is so awesome because even when I'm not recording audio into the handle, I still keep this thing on top of my FX3, even when just recording standard B-roll, because it creates a better and more secure shooting experience with that nice handle that you're able to grab it with. There are a couple of cool accessories that you can snag for this top handle. The first would be this pinky extension that you can get from a couple different manufacturers. We'll link one from Small Rig down in the description below. That just adds a little resting point for your pinky because this top handle is a little bit short short if you don't grab one of these extensions. So I usually like having the extension on. Additionally, you can also purchase one of these mic spacers because the XLR holder port right here is a little bit too big for most microphones. And the reason they made it this big is because some microphones actually are that big, but most like consumer level and more budget friendly microphones are a little bit smaller in diameter. So you can pick up one of these mic spacers to use with different types of microphones. So overall, I love that audio top handle, and whether you're a YouTube creator or a business owner or personal brand, you're gonna use that thing all the time. Now the FX3 also effectively has no record limit. So literally this camera doesn't have a record limit. You can record as long as the camera has power and you have card space. Plus there's actually 2 SD card slots. So that's really helpful if you want to extend the record times and record for 4, 5, 6 hours on one shoot day and not fill up all of your card space. You have 2 cards that you can work with. And besides having those 2 card slots to extend run times, this camera also has a built-in internal fan that's gonna keep the camera cool for those longer recording sessions. So effectively, this camera is never going to overheat on you, even at those higher 4K resolutions. Now, if you're outside, maybe in direct sunlight for hours and hours, maybe it's gonna overheat, but honestly, I've used this camera for 3+ years and I've never had it overheat on me, even for weddings outside or even recording multiple hour podcasts. This thing is never overheated. Now, of course, this camera is great for YouTube creators and filmmakers, but there's a few other groups of people who I think would really benefit from this camera. And the first would be online course creators. So maybe you're a content creator who provides a course offering for your students, and you're somebody who films series of videos for your course content. Maybe you're batch recording for long days and you're recording 5, 6, 10 episodes of your course in a single recording session, and you want a camera that's going to perform well for those longer recording sessions. This is the camera for you. I actually used to be a director of video production for a university in Oregon, and this would be our go-to camera for recording longer lectures with professors who are recording their online courses. This is also a great camera for online coaches or event speakers and consultants. Maybe you're somebody who travels a lot for events, and maybe you have a videographer who you bring with you, or maybe you hire somebody locally to come in and shoot content for you, or even if you're alone, this is a great choice of a camera for you. Honestly, you could set this up in the event center and there's a big fat record button on there that somebody could just press for you. If you set it up on an easy to use tripod, set up the camera and just have somebody hit record for you, you're gonna get incredible video results that you can share on social media or add that footage to your speaker portfolio. And finally, this is great for faith-based institutions or live event teams. So churches and pastors, traveling speakers, production teams of churches. It's such a great camera for these types of teams and environments. It's great for live streaming at the highest possible quality, and you get a lot of flexibility with frame rates. So you get true 24 frames per second, which is really important, as well as 30 and 60 FPS, etc. You get all these great frame rates for matching the frame rates to your other technology that you might integrate into your live production environment. So as you can see, the FX3 is an outstanding camera for video professionals and entrepreneurs and business owners. If you want to dominate YouTube and even just broader content marketing as a whole, the FX3 is as good as it gets. If you want to check out some of our favorite lenses to pair with cameras like this, you can check out this video right here, and we'll see you in the next video.